Greetings, people. This is a video about the insurrection in the United States on January 6th. I apologize for it being several weeks since my last video. I had hoped to be posting videos about once a week, but the insurrection on January 6th gave me pause. I had to decide how I was going to distill my thoughts, condense my thoughts into a 10 or 12 minute video. Difficult to do given that we've been talking about it for hours and hours and hours. But here goes. First of all, I do believe January 6th was an insurrection, and I think that Europeans see it as an insurrection, as a fascist coup, as a coup d'etat, as a beer hall putsch. Europeans understand this sort of things. Europeans understand storming a government building in order to overturn a free and fair election. What is shocking to Europeans is that this should happen in the United States. It's been over 2 centuries that the United States has been an example of the peaceful transition of power. It's certainly not been 2 centuries that that's been the way in most of Europe. And certainly no presidential democracy has seen 2 centuries of peaceful transition of power in the world. And so the Europeans were shocked that this could happen in the United States and are wary about what is going to happen going forward. When they ask why it happened, I give a fairly simple explanation. I say that I believe what caused the insurrection on January 6th was a deep sense of alienation felt by white Christian Americans. Now, to get there, I have to go back to Manifest Destiny, Manifest with a capital M, Destiny with a capital D. It's the proposition that the American experiment was divinely inspired to cross the American continent, to appropriate the lands of Native Americans and the Mexican Spanish who lived on it. That the expansion of the country was an expansion of opportunity and an expansion of greatness that was divinely inspired. Now, that might not be in the forefront of the current psyche of Americans, but certainly over the course of the first 150 years, it was. And if it's been subsumed because of the idea that Native Americans had rights that were inappropriately appropriated, and that civil rights for Black Americans, African Americans, were a necessary thing in order to achieve the American ideal, this idea of white Christian supremacy was subsumed. But things have changed in the last generation or so. A veritable blink of an eye. When Barack Obama was elected president a little over 12 years ago, he did not believe in marriage equality. He did not believe in LBGT rights the way that we do now. Those rights have gone from a minority to a majority position, as has marijuana legalization, as has the idea that women have a right to be free from sexual harassment in the workplace. All of the social norms that white Christian America has taken for granted have been flipped, maybe not all, but many, have been flipped in the last 20 years. At the same time, the country is on track to becoming a majority-minority country. That is that, taken together, Black and brown Americans will outnumber white Americans. Now, I happen to think that being Hispanic or Latino is an ethnicity rather than a race, but for general purposes, Hispanics, Latinos are considered brown. You add brown, black, yellow, and red, and you get a majority of persons in the United States being persons of color. And all of a sudden, within the last few years, perhaps within the next few years, being Caucasian will be being in the minority. Also at the same time, being Christian is going into a minority. At least being white Christian is going into a minority. People my age profess affiliation with a religion at about a rate of 2/3. About 67% of people my age profess religious affiliation. For young people, that's down to 25% or less. So white Christian America has become less white and less Christian, and the societal norms that white Christian Americans believe are important, and I believe particularly gay rights as the trigger, have gone from majority to minority positions. Alienation, a deep sense of alienation, a loss of empowerment, a loss of power. And when you take the epitome of this idea, not the man's himself, but the projection that the man has put forward in the name of Donald Trump, a man who was never Christian, but who posed in front of a church with a Bible, a man who decried immigration, not because we couldn't absorb or need the immigrants, but because of the color of the immigrants. When he lost the election, and the only way that election could be overturned was by overturning Congress that was getting ready to certify that election, you had the insurrection of January 6th. So that's my take on it. The bumper sticker is that when teenagers feel alienated, they cut themselves, they commit suicide, they bring guns to school. Bringing guns to school attacks the institution that caused their alienation. Apparently, when white Christian Americans feel alienated, they bring guns to Congress, because Congress is the institution that has led to their loss of empowerment. Well, I don't know that I can say I hope you enjoyed this video, but I hope that this sparks some conversation. Please comment if you will. Please talk with your friends and decide what you think caused the insurrection of January 6th. And talk about solutions. I'm not certain that I know a solution, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on solutions as well. Like and subscribe, and have a good day.